Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the Mars in Aries transit for 2015. Now, Mars will be transiting Aries from February 19th, 2015 to March 31st, 2015. Now, it's going to move out of passive Pisces, where a lot of this aggressive energy was really subdued, to say the least. I would say we might, in this period, people are more apt to be very outspoken, much more so than when it was in Pisces. You might see a little bit more volatile behavior, perhaps people being a little bit more acerbic. People might be a little more agitated with little provocation. You might be wondering what you've said to upset somebody at times during this transit, when in reality it was really, in most cases, probably nothing that the person should be upset over. And I expect in the sports world, I mean, in hockey, you have fights galore. I mean, that seems to be, fights are obviously, no one can underestimate the prevalence of fights in hockey, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's going to be more during this period. During this time, even in some spring training games in baseball, you might see a little larger, greater than average amount of angry, acrimonious outbursts, and you might see a few melees here and there on the playing field in baseball. So, and even in basketball as well, in sports in general during this time. Also, many of you know that there are some countries that are experiencing some tension and turmoil right now, and some people are speculating that their countries may be on the threshold of war at this point in time. Well, with Mars in Aries, I think that could only intensify or perhaps exacerbate maybe that possibility, or exacerbate a already perhaps tense situation with countries. Now, there's going to be, I would expect you might see perhaps even more shootings during this time. You might, if there is a war of some kind, I'm not going to say necessarily anything apocalyptic, but maybe some, what I would consider more of a minor war. Might be some bombings, a lot more, I guess you could say. You might have certain, being Mars in Aries, maybe more things that are associated maybe with stronger action in association with, or maybe some impulsive decisions in general. You might see in this period there might be perhaps things just in general with people, a more combative, I guess, type situations you might see. There's also there's some other points I want to bring up in connection with this Mars in Aries. Another thing is you might see Mars also governs sex, so people, even the more reticent and more timid, passive people that generally aren't vocal about matters pertaining to sex, they'll be probably more aggressive on average in terms of pursuing someone, or as far as for a sexual relationship. And that's one of the things I would anticipate during this Mars in Aries transit. Now, some points I want to bring up, a couple interesting aspects that are going to go along the way with this Mars in Aries transit. Now, Mars will conjoin Uranus from February 25th, 2015 until March 26, 2015. And yes, I am using a 10-degree orb on this. Now, this could possibly, as I stated previously, might intensify some tension, turmoil between countries. You might see some erratic, sporadic, aggressive, angry energy during this period. There might be some strong things connected with rebellion, revolt, revolution. Now, you might see some unpredictable, unanticipated outbursts during this time because of this conjunction. At the same time, on a positive note, you might see, since Uranus also rules computers, electronics, innovations, new technology, astrology, esoteric subjects, you might see more aggressive energy put into these things and some new ideas associated with these things from people, more so than on average during this period. You might see people that are very vocal and have a lot of very strong opinions and being very outspoken regarding these subjects during this period as well. Now, another thing is that Mars will conjoin Venus in Aries from February 20th, 2015 to March 16th, 2015. And yes, I am still using the 10-degree orb in that. Now, people collectively, on average, may be more ardent, amorous, sensual, demonstrative, and will, quote-unquote, make no bones about feelings for another during this period. Now, these people in general, on average, may be more aggressive in initiating a sexual relationship with someone. Now, the erogenous zones will be more readily activated, so to speak, on average during this period as well, I believe. Now, on another note, I have transiting Mars in this period for part of it from February 19th, 2015 to March 18th, 2015. And yes, I am using the 10-degree orb. Mars in Aries, transiting Mars in Aries, will be making a conjunction to my natal Chiron in Aries. And, well, I hope there's nothing too bad's going to happen to me connected with this because it indicates possible emotional wounds associated with anger or an aggression perhaps, and perhaps things connected with unnecessary outspokenness. And I hope I'm not subject to any volatile actions directed toward me or any kind of coercion from somebody. And I guess maybe on a somewhat odd positive note, it is in my 12th house. Maybe I'm hoping that maybe that'll diffuse things perhaps a little bit, but I think what this could actually mean is that anything what I just described before about this transit, this Mars in Aries conjoining my natal Chiron in Aries in that period, I think what it could indicate is that these things are going to be things that I'm not going to be readily going to talk about with others if something like this were to happen toward me, or these things might happen on a very private scale where it's something like maybe for example, a confrontation, maybe some confrontations privately between me and someone else. So I guess that's a possibility as well, but hopefully I won't. Having Taurus rising, I do have a very tranquil and calm nature, and hopefully I'll get out of that fairly unscathed. I have faith in that. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Mars transit 2015 in Aries. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be talking about how this Mars in Aries transit in 2015 is going to impact the first 6 signs of the zodiac, going from Aries to Virgo. So I'm going to be talking about how the transit will impact Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. 2 things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because a person astrologically is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.